Welcome to the Pick Up Korea podcast, and today I would like to discuss some common issues that are holding guys back from meeting, from dating, and having long-term relationships with very, very attractive girls, right? Whether that's long-term, whether that's short-term, casual. There are definitely some things that are holding guys back from achieving their dating goals with gorgeous, beautiful, attractive Korean girls. Okay, so one common thing I've noticed after coaching guys over these past several years, but especially over this past year, is a lot of guys are really, really complacent and they really limit themselves to online dating with Korean girls, right? So recently had a couple clients and they go on dates, maybe 1, 2, 3 dates every week, but they're using online apps, right? And not to say that online apps don't necessarily have their place. However, really at the end of the day, with Korean girls specifically, unless you have a really, really good profile, you're really, really good looking, and you have, an amazing bio, so to speak, it's going to be really, really hard to match those top-end girls, right? If you're just getting your feet in the door, you want to date some kind of average chicks, average girls, or, you don't mind that kind of thing, you're inexperienced, you need experience going on dates, then really that can be a good thing, right? You can get some practice being around girls, getting dates. However, at the end of the day, unless you're really in the top percentage of looks, you're not really going to match with the better looking girls, right? So these guys, they talk about, I go on dates every now and then, they're decent. Every now and then I'll get a 7 out, or I'll get a, cute girl out or something like that. However, you also have to consider at some point, this is just an opportunity cost, right? You could be going to places, approaching much attractive girls. For example, you can set your limit that I'm only going to approach girls who are an 8 and above in my own, my own standard, so to speak, right? Whereas with online, you're likely to just swipe on, average girls, or the ones that seem like they're an 8 on the photo. You're more likely to, if you get a date with them, they're more likely to be less attractive. The catfish phenomenon, the filter phenomenon, etc., right? Whereas if you meet them in person, then you're more likely to see how they actually look, right? And so really, oftentimes the online dating scene in Korea, it's really just full of complacency, not really going after what you want, and it's really an opportunity cost, right? And so another thing is, a lot of guys are afraid to put their balls on the line, afraid to go out there, afraid to talk to hotter girls, and they just kind of hide behind these apps and stay at that level forever, right? And so that's one thing. All right, the next thing is really, finding your type, finding where they are, whether that's in high-end nightclubs, certain bars, and of course, in the case of Korea, the daytime, the streets. Really, the streets have all the quality, all the different types of girls that you can meet, right? So even me here recently, in the past 2 weeks, hooked up with an actress from the street, hooked up with a really, really hot younger student with big fake tits, D-cup tits, which was really nice. But really, would I even match any of these girls online? The answer is no. I would get nowhere with these type of girls, right? Wouldn't even match, wouldn't even be able to message, right? And so another common thing I've noticed when guys are going out, they really, really, and I'm sure this is probably you if you're kind of new, or even if you're somewhat of an intermediate in the game, you're coming in, you're asking a lot of questions, you fall into what I like to call question quicksand, right? You come up, you approach the girl, maybe she's hot, maybe she's your type, but then it turns into, oh, where are you from? Oh, what do you do for work? Where are you going now? You fall into just question, boring. Maybe the initial open was okay, Maybe in the first 10 seconds she's responsive, but as the set goes on, you're kind of asking for more, being lazy, being boring, being interviewee, and suddenly you notice the interaction kind of diminishes, she loses interest, she has to go, right? And so this is a very, very common issue. And really, how do you fix this? How do you counteract this, right? Well, one way is making more statements, right? So one common challenge I'll give to guys on the immersion program or boot camps is to really only make statements, right? So one thing you can do is to make a challenge all day. I'm going to go out, I'm going to do 20, 30 approaches, whatever your goal is, and then I cannot even ask a single question. And so what does that do? It doesn't allow your brain to be lazy, to fall back to interview mode, to questions, because you have to make everything a statement, right? And subtly you learn that you can do cold reads, you can make assumptive statements, right? You can share stories, you can be even a lot more fun in a way, right? You can express yourself in a way that you wouldn't if you just could fall back on questions, right? And so, maybe a common question would be, what do you do? What kind of job do you do? Musin il heo in Korean, right? But you could change that into, I notice you have these like really unique nails, this kind of nail art. That's like a big thing these days. But you must be some sort of like nail artist or work at like a beauty clinic around here or something, right? And so that instead is making a statement, an observation. It's something to engage with. It's something to either affirm or deny, right? So if she affirms it, you get more information, or at least it shows that you have some kind of insight, you notice something about her. She denies it, oftentimes she'll offer up what she actually does, right? And so this makes it a lot more engaging, a lot more, a lot more that you're providing some kind of value, you're creating a vibe, rather than relying on the girl to answer a series of, questions, right? Another thing is really, even if you're just not if you're not asking a bunch of questions, another thing is guys really fall into this boring sort of back and forth. It's very linear, it's very predictable. It's sort of like, what do you do? Oh, I do this. Yeah, I like this kind of food. I'm going here. This very bland, very boring conversation, right? But in order for girls to have an experience, to have fun, to let loose, to enjoy being around you, you have to have a degree of, nonlinear conversation, some kind of stupidity, some kind of fun, sort of misinterpreting her questions, making outlandish statements, things along these lines, so that she can kind of, engage, or she can kind of enjoy it rather than falling into this boring, predictable, quicksand kind of interaction, right? And so, like, even with really basic stuff, a lot of times they'll ask you, why did you come to Korea, or how did you come to Korea is actually how they often ask it. So, how did you come to Korea? What they actually mean, 어떻게 한국 왔어요, is like, did you come here did you get employed here, or, did you have a girlfriend here, or something, like, what were the reasons, really, right? And so, how did you come here? Oh, by plane, of course. What do you mean? I jumped on a plane, bought a ticket, it didn't crash, luckily, but yeah, that's how I came here. So it's stupid, it's retarded, right? But it's getting out of that, like, oh, I came here to work, I am doing this job. You're getting out of that boring frame, that boring interview mode, right? Other things like, she's asking, like, say, for example, you're talking about you're learning Korean, but you're learning Korean, but, you still confuse simple stuff, this and that, just showing that you don't take yourself very seriously, right? It could be, you're talking about different kinds of foods or whatever, right? And she's asking, what are your favorite foods? And then you answer with something stupid like some kind of drink that you're into, or like, some kind of like other, even like a whole different topic. Like, oh, she's like, oh, what kind of Korean food do you like? Oh, Korean food. Yeah. Well, I'm into, BTS, New Jeans, Oh, food. Okay, yeah, yeah. My English isn't very good. I can't speak English that well. Just being dumb, being non-linear, right? Little shit like that that gets the conversation sort of off the predictable back and forth kind of thing, right? And it really doesn't have to be even clever. I mean, clever can be good, right? Of course. However, even just being almost retarded at some points in the interaction, or um, almost even looking at girls' conversations or listening to how they speak when they are at a cafe and it's very non-linear, you can kind of pick up on that sort of emotional mode of communication, that kind of fun, right? And so that's one thing. Um, and yeah, so how can you really get better at this? Like I mentioned, sort of playfully misinterpret things, right? So she says, "Oh, I think you're from," she asks like, "Udi nara salamiyeo, where are you from?" And then you say like, typically you would probably say where you're from, or even volunteer that information. I'm from Norway, I'm from Spain, or USA, or whatever, right? But instead, like, yeah, where does it look like I'm from? And then she says, Australia. And you're like, oh, God, Australia? Like, disgusting place. Really just weird people. Whole place smelled like shit when I went there. God, you must think I look like a total, like, country bumpkin. Kind of like chonnom in Korean, right? And then she's like, no, 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 no. So you just go off on this like retarded tangent, right? That's not even accurate. But I'm just kidding, just kidding. Actually, I'm from, just kidding. I've been to Australia. It was pretty cool. But I'm from, whatever, LA or wherever you're from, right? So sort of ways to like playfully misinterpret things, misinterpret questions, go off on tangents on questions, right? Or even like I mentioned earlier, sort of like respond in a way that's not even related to the initial question, things like that, right? And yeah, so having this kind of approach allows it to be more fun, more unpredictable, and to really be more engaging, right? Another really common issue with guys trying to get these hotter girls these days is that since most Korean guys, you can go out on a given day and there's guys approaching on the street in Korea, right? Korean local guys. And really, they'll often come in with that same opener, right? Oh, I liked your style. You look really nice. I like your fashion. You're cute. You're pretty. Something like that, right? And coaching a client recently, he tried that for his like first 10 approaches, all blowouts, right? And I told him like, you got to stop. You got to take the word style, cute. I liked your whatever, right? I liked your style, you're cute. You have to take that out of your vocabulary and really just make an observation about them unrelated to I like your style, I think you're cute, and just say something that's not even you can make a comment on something about them, oh, something about the bag, something about her shoes, something about her nails, something about the way she's walking, but avoid you're cute, I like your style, right? Make an observation, make a direct comment on something, right? Or, comment on the situation, etc., etc., right? And so then he ends up doing that, and of course what happens is the girls start engaging, not blowing out right away, longer interactions, some phone numbers, and then even ends up getting a date out of it and closing that date, right? Whereas the first half of the day, falling into that predictable spam kind of approach of I like your style, really just did not work over and over again, right? Another story of a recent client, on an immersion, I actually got to witness his date, and it was really, really the same kind of thing. Really boring, interviewee, question, 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 and really gave him the advice to be a lot more dumb, be a lot more fun, be a lot more non-linear, playfully misinterpret things, kind of go off on stupid tangents, right? Crazy experiences and things like this. And then what happened was the next date, it was, a few days later, maybe 3, 4, 5 days later, ends up closing the hottest girl he's met during the program, right? And so this just shows that, like, oftentimes these small little tweaks of going from, question quicksand to making more statements, more dynamic expressions, more fun, stupid, playful misinterpretations, more non-linear conversation, even these little small, seemingly small tweaks can really have, massive changes in your results, right? And it's really these Little tweaks, some here, changing your texting, changing your conversation, changing your emotional expressions, changing how you lead, changing how you set up the date, changing how you respond to a girl and what she says. All these little things add up, right? And ultimately it's like these little baby steps, these little 5% here, 5% here, that lead to massive changes in results. Getting hotter girls, having a hotter girlfriend, having the girl more engaged, getting more casual hookups if that's your thing, right? And so that being said, another thing I'll get asked is like, where are the hotter girls? Well, if you're in Korea, if you're in Seoul, really the top of the top is usually in Gangnam area, right? It's because the area is known for its beauty, known for having the most beauty clinics, fashion shops, plastic surgery. Everything is so focused on appearance in the area. There's the celebrities, the entertainment companies, the hostesses, the model agencies, the flight attendant academies, all of the sort of businesses or opportunities that are focused on beauty are really concentrated in that area. That being said, of course, you go to other areas. You go to Hongdae, you have very gorgeous young student types, artistic types. You go to different areas and different types. But when it comes to really just a high concentration of the top of the top of the top, it really is going to be in the Gangnam district, whether that's Apgujeong, Shinsa, Gangnam Station, Shinnonyeon Station, Yeoksam, places like this, right? And so really, if you're going out for day game, you're going out for street approaches, and you really want to focus on just high quality girls, that would be the place, right? And then of course, if it's night game, oftentimes the higher end clubs in Gangnam district, in Shinsa, in Apgujeong, or even the pochas, the lounge bars in those areas, Apgujeong Rodeo, Shinsadong, places like that, will have a higher concentration compared to other places like Itaewon or other spots you may visit, right? All right, so hopefully you got some really good tips, really to kind of summarize these tips, right? Some useful tips to really change your game up, to really get more attractive girls, to have better interactions with hotter girls, is first of all, if you're already experienced, if you're already getting some okay girls, some average girls from the internet, but want to up your quality, really just delete the apps. Really delete it and go and street it up, right? That's one tip. Get out of the complacency. Get out of hiding behind the apps. Get out of not putting your balls on the line. Get out of the frame of avoiding approaching the girls you're really into, right? Another tip would be to get out of the question quicksand thing, right? Very common issue. Almost every guy I've coached has this issue at one point or another. And so really making a kind of challenge for yourself that you're only going to make statements, until you can do it for a day, a week, a month, until it becomes sort of second nature, right? You ingrain this habit that I go up, I talk, I share statements, I make cold reads, assumptive, playful statements, and then once that becomes second nature, then you can ask questions, because you're not asking questions because you have nothing to say or you're being lazy or boring. You're asking probably more strategic questions, right? Logistical questions, things that might get the interaction moving forward, so to speak, right? That's another huge major tip. Another one is being more dumb, being more fun, being more nonlinear, misinterpreting what the girl says, and really answering even in the wrong kind of ways, going on, stupid dumb tangents, things along these lines, right? Being more dumb, being more nonlinear allows the girl to have fun, to be unpredictable, and to sort of warm up to your presence in a way, right? And so, yeah, I hope these few tips have been very useful. Finding where the hot girls are, going to those areas, deleting the apps, being more fun, more dumb, and then also asking more making more statements than asking questions, right? And so, yeah, I've really been very happy with the progress after coaching clients, giving exact tips. In the past month or so, had a handful of clients, and they all ended up really changing up their results. Getting one guy lay with a really, really hot girl. Another guy, which was very rare for him, he says, much above his quality, blew his mind, so to speak. Another guy, even got, I think it was 2 or 3 last week, very attractive girls, and another guy did actually, I think he got his first, it was his first time approaching in the daytime on the street. He got his first date from that as well. And so that has been really good. And then another guy, just sharing some kind of client stories here. Another client actually had just got back from Japan, was out there for a while, comes to Korea, really just blown away by the quality, and he was he's also kind of falling into that, like, needing the perfect thing to say, asking a bunch of questions, but with the adjustments. He said he booked a couple dates and then got his first girl he pulled from the daytime to his place and got a result, right? And so until next time, if you have any questions, you can leave them either in the comments below or even email me. I'll drop the email down in the comment section or in the show notes. And also, if you're interested in a program, you're interested in actually improving in your game, getting better quality girls, sharpening up, learning to really improve your dating skills and get the results that you want, then reach out to me. We can book a call and see what kind of program would be a good match for you. A bootcamp program, perhaps an immersion program, perhaps an online remote program. All right, until next time.